What is going on, everybody? What a week it's been, man. Listen to me. If y'all are here for just a chapter rating, whatever your highest rating is, whether you go on 5 stars, whether you go on a 10 out of 10, whether it's infinity, 100 million, whatever your highest ranking is, I give that to this week's chapter. Why? Is there a reason to answer that question? Is there a reason for that? For me to answer that question? Brother, this chapter revealed something that I had to vacuum after finishing this video, as shown here. This week's chapter of the best-selling manga in history had Akagami no Shanks in it, and therefore, if the chapter had Shanks in it, that is an automatic triple Santa hat, foam finger, and now carpet hair Sama. Ladies and gentlemen, the highest possible rating for a Shanks chapter. You know how it is. Not only was he in a Shanks chapter, but I got to see Luffy and Robert D. Lucci do a tag team attack, and Zoro and Kaku. In the midst of that, we now have even more mystery when it comes to who the traitor actually is on Egghead Island. And then we switch over, we start Two Piece with Vicky the Viking being an apprentice of Akagami no Shanksu. And where is Shanks? In his territory, Elbaf. We see Dory, Baragi, the boys, in one of the greatest OP spreads. And pulling up on the boys is Eustace Kid, man. Listen to me. Egghead Island, the final saga. I actually made a collage earlier today. It's this right here. Because I can't... It's hard for me to even comprehend the peak that we have been experiencing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is peak fiction. This has been 22 chapters, and longer than that for me as someone who absolutely adored Wano. Y'all know how much I loved Wano. So for me, it's been non-stop since then. And you know what? Before that too. Reverie, Whole Cake, Zoe, Dressrosa, my man has not been missing. Oda has been giving me non-stop peak. Keeping it a buck, he hasn't missed since 97. Since 97! And so listen, man, this week's chapter, if you're only here for the rating, it is the highest rating, 10, Go Raw Fire Peak, whatever. It's the highest at Shanks. That was it, Shanks. It's Luffy emitting Yonko energy. It's Elbaf. It's Two Piece. Like, come on, man. So, Final Saga Oda is in full effect. And it's just, it's been a wonderful experience, man. Like, I just don't know how he does it. Every single week we continue to ramp up the intensity in Egghead, and somehow, some way we find ourselves outside, on the outside world, where we meet something just even more insane than what was in the chapter itself. It's like we could have the craziest chapter within Egghead. We'll switch around the world and we'll see Garp, or St. J. Garcia Saturn, or Vivi, or Dragon, or Shanks. And it's like, man, this is the final saga. And so, because it is the final saga, I reached out to the entire comment section and was like, you know what? Give me all of your theories and comments and everything that you have for this week's chapter. And that is what we're going to be talking about here in the Afterthoughts, is just a discussion about the insanity currently taking place, not only on Egghead, but the potential stuff that could be happening here with Shanks and Kid, because there's so much that could potentially happen there, especially since they are where we all believe we're going to be going next, which is Elbaf. Oh, man. Let's go. So let's get right into the comments. And you already know that this week we have to start off with some Vicky the Viking greatness. Coming in strong, Shrivat Shiran states, the parallel of how Oda introduced Shanks' connection to Elbaf is awesome. He introduced it with Shanks in a bar talking to a kid about being a pirate. Just like Monkey D. The callback is priceless. It's priceless. to me, very similar to the callback in Jaya, where Luffy refused to attack Bellamy, right? Even though that scene is different and resonates on a higher thematic level from a storytelling standpoint. That is a very powerful scene when Luffy refuses to fight back, right? It's on top of being an amazing callback, it also has incredible resonance for everything else happening within Jaya. It's one of my all-time favorite scenes. This one is just a precious callback that I guarantee is going to have some sort of payoff when Monkey D and the rest of them actually make it here. Because what I'm looking forward to seeing is, since he has to stay here, I'm going to assume that Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats are going to have to make it here as well. And so if that were to happen, and they were to come to the same exact port, Luffy rolls up, caped, coat and all, and he's like, yo, you have that coat just like Shanks. Luffy's gonna look at him like, Shanks? And that automatically, because the thing is, right, anybody who mentions Shanks to Luffy is the equivalent of like somebody on the street mentioning One Piece to you. You're like, what? You? It's like, bro, they could come from any background. You could have never met the individual before in your life. You see them rocking a One Piece shirt, or they come to you like, yo, you rock with One Piece? I do too. That's a brother for life. That's a brother, a sister for life. You feel me? That's how Luffy is with Shanks. Like, you rock with Shanks, dog? Like, what? So, but what I'm so excited about beyond that connection to Shanks between Vicky the Viking, two-piece main character, and a Monkey D is going to be the potential influence that Luffy's going to have on Vicky the Viking, because as we all know, he's a different type of goat with a coat. Whereas the OG in Shanks is more of he represents being a pirate in his own unique way, which is why so many individuals follow him and look up to him. Luffy also has his own unique way that was inspired by Shanks, but his own unique way of being a pirate too. And so I look forward to seeing if after Elbaf, Vicky the Viking actually looks up to Luffy and is like, yo, no, I want to be like him. Can I join your crew? And it would actually be really cool if Vicky the Viking actually ends up being what we all believed Momonosuke was going to be, and ends up being the cabin boy for the Straw Hats. I'm not throwing it out. Us having an actual giant on the ship, we know they're going to join the Alliance as Usopp's members, right? Is a massive fleet of giants. It has to happen. It's one of the lies that just need to take place, right? So if Usopp's gonna have that, then why not have one of the giants here? Was this our first introduction into another crew member within the series? Who knows? Who knows? But I love the parallel, and it was super dope. Thank you so much for the comment, yo. Normally, I go through members first, but I missed out on my dog in the last Afterthoughts. And so to make it up to my boy Praetorius, I'm gonna go through these and we're gonna continue through the members. But Praetorius, man, once again, my bad on missing it, because I really wanted to talk about a certain comment that you left last time. So here we go. Praetorius says, we talked about this in the stream chat, but I think there's a serious chance this is how it goes down. I don't think Oda would constantly break flow and attention on Egghead like this unless this info will be important much sooner than we expect. I could not agree more, but I'm going to continue. Clearly, Oda is putting all the pieces on the board. But as of this chapter, we have every series contender for the One Piece. All the islands are next to each other: Egghead, Elbaf, Winter, Full Lead, and maybe Sphinx too, unless the legends are true and the Red Force has hyperspeed. They're all fighting at sea. Law versus Blackbeard. Shanks is going out to sea to drive Kid away from Elbaf, and Green Bull is transporting Weevil. While Luffy is definitely going towards all that to escape Egghead, with Kizaru and of course Jay Garcia Saturn with him. All these situations are set up to meet if they aren't resolved off screen. What's more, all major factions and fleets are here or coming. World of World Government, Shanks, and Blackbeard is probably at full lead until Garp's Garp is gonna go in and start tossing some cannonballs. The Straw Grand Fleet could show up easily. I love this theory. There's something we talked about within the stream, but the Straw Hat Grand Fleet either showing up to what is taking place within the island full of lead, or the Straw Hat Grand Fleet showing up to stop the 100 ships. I love those theories because we all know what's currently happening on Egghead Island is going to be what kickstarts the final saga. This is going to kickstart the major incident, leads us into the final portion of the story. So what better way than for the major incident that is going to change the world forever, have the Grand Fleet be a part of it in the same way that we were told by the narrator back in Dressrosa in chapter 800. It's like these individuals are going to come back into play when a major incident takes place. And so it can't get any more major than this. You got a massive battle royale taking place, like Oda said, at Jump Festa this year. And the fact that what Oda said at Jump Festa is actually taking place directly after he says it scares me, because that never happens. Either it's like a couple months out, a year out, we don't see it for like another year. My man said there's a battle royale happening. It's happening right now. Like right now. So what's happening here may be way crazier than we could have all imagined. Sparking the final war escalating with a battle to eclipse Marineford. We could see some all-timer interactions. This is all we ever wanted from the final saga. Blackbeard and Shanks, dude, I'm gonna ascend that chapter. The day that chapter drops, I am going to ascend. Kizaru and Aokiji, Garp and Stussy, Kobe and Luffy. And what better duo to pull up and live commentate the Royal Rumble from the air than Morgans and Wapple? Dude, Morgans, sign me up, dude. Sign me up. I will take up another job to live commentate this peak fiction. Kuma's doing the Goldberg ring walk all the way from Paradise to with McDonald's HQ, and it's still in his way. I don't think he'll make it. And that's going to be a very tragic moment if you're right about that. The only outsider is Crossguild. I think they're all too slick to get caught up in this, but it's a perfect time to make their move elsewhere. I think Crossguild's purpose is to show that the Navy isn't in control anymore and create a Monday Night War scenario. Could you imagine that? Here's hoping they take over Impel Down to do that. It's like, you're going to have Eric Bischoff over here and Vince over here. But the Vince thing, if they actually go to Impel Down and Buggy takes it over again and gets even more people under, like, yo, that man is really the ruler. That's his territory, Impel Down. Could you imagine being an emperor and your territory is one of the WG's major facilities? That's just rawness and swag. That's Buggy D, you know? If any of this is true, Elbaf can wait. I think it'd actually be perfect for the Straws to get a reality check on what they're in for. Are we ready to defend Robin from these factions? Is Usopp ready to be a brave warrior? Is Luffy ready to meet Shanks? Dog, yo, you give me goosebumps. Before they wash up on Elbaf and have one last grand adventure, I've never been more excited for this story. Praetorius, this is a phenomenal comment. And like you said, because I remember your original comment on stream was that all this stuff is going to converge. But you elaborating it in this type of way is very interesting because, like you said, why else? Because I've been thinking about this a lot. From a storytelling standpoint, Oda's been doing this for so long, he understands to not break immersion away from the readers, right? He's not going to do something that takes your interest away from them from what's currently happening within the verse, which is why he always saves the stuff for like post arc stuff, right? Because he doesn't want it to intertwine. The fact that he's making it intertwine tells us that whatever is happening right now is going to have direct relation to what's going to take place in the transition over to the next arc, or maybe even to the climax of this arc in and of itself. We need all that information because, like you said, all of this could start converging way sooner than we were all initially anticipating, and it's very, very interesting. It's like, does this mean that everything happening right now is going to start really, like, as you said, because they're all so close to each other, they're actually become one major ginormous battlefield? Or is it going to be more so like whatever happens between Blackbeard and Law and Garp and Pudding and everything over here in Island Full of Lead, or whatever takes place on Elbaf is going to have direct, and I mean direct, consequences on the following portions of the story? Because both of those can be true, right? But let's just say Blackbeard takes out Law, Aokiji actually 100% commits either to the Blackbeard scenario or returns back to Sword and or the Navy. Pudding, Katakuri, or Pudding still either remaining under Blackbeard or escapes because we still don't know where Big Mom is, right? Like, Big Mom's still on the sea. We don't know if Big Mom's heading to Elbaf. And if I'm telling you right now, if Shanks clashes with Big Mom, but we don't know if Big Mom's heading to Elbaf for that connection or Big Mom's heading to go get Pudding. We don't know. We don't know, man. So it's like all these different things are, of course, going to have direct consequences into what happens next. But the fact that they're all taking place within the arc itself is so insane to me. Because it's like, yo, in post-Wano, what are we going to get? In post-Egghead, it's like we're already experiencing post-Egghead. Every chapter. So it's like, what? What is leading towards? But you're absolutely right. It really does feel like if Elbaf is our one final adventure, right? And what I mean by final adventure is the last time the Strahds get to go to an island with nothing else happening on the outside before we head into like a Lodestar or Laugh Tale and whatever, and the entire verse becomes like one ginormous battlefield, the big war that's going to be taking place. It's like, does that war start happening right now? Does it already start taking place while we head over to Elbaf? Like we head to Elbaf while the war is already going crazy? Because to me, the big kickstarter to that war is going to be Dragon. Dragon, declaring war on the Celestial Dragon, Sabo, it's like the Revolutionary Army is going to be what kickstarts all of that. So it's like in the midst of all this insanity, we're still waiting for Dragon's answer. But man, amazing comment, dude. Amazing comment. It just gives you goosebumps. Cross skill is so interesting. And that leads me into a comment from Vortex, who states, I believe that the 100 ships that are coming to Egghead might have to be shred down to a lower number because 100 is a lot of ships. Even Marineford only had 50. And it's like, that in of itself is showcasing like what's happening right here, right now. Bro, Luffy has like massive Yonko energy, man. Dude, they said 50 just in case Whitebeard would show up to Marineford. They're sending 100 for my king. Yo! They're like, yo, Joy Boy's there? 100. Minimum. But sir, that's more than half. That's double the resources we sent to Marineford. I said minimum. Akainu, you know, he did his cigar thing, blew it up. He's like, I want you 100. 100 of them pulling up a monkey. Dang. And the best way to do that is getting the Cross Guild involved and making them intercept the 100 ships coming to Egghead and letting the Marine Hunter do some marine hunting. Automatic goosebumps. So, like I said, I love the theory that either the Grand Fleet are going to stop the 100 ships, or like Vortex says, that the Cross Guild is going to do it. If we see Mihawk in the midst of all of this Yonko hype, in the midst of Shanks hype, Blackbeard hype, Luffy hype, it's like we're seeing the boys flex. In the midst of all that, we have another individual on that level. Do some hunt. Oh, man. And it's not just Mihawk. Seeing what Crocodile and Buggy would do in those scenarios, too, from both a comedic standpoint and from a mate. Bro, Crocodile on the sea? Doing this. Oh, that'd be so raw. I mean, we have, like, tag team attacks. Mihawk just gets Sugatencho and shit. Give it to me. Give it to me, bro. Please. Please, man. Next comment comes in from Tommy de Filippo Santos, who says, this chapter completely recontextualizes Shanks, as it had previously been assumed that he had a small crew like Roger and Luffy, whereas he actually has the strongest allied forces in the world, dude. The man has the groups of individuals that the Marines are trying their hardest to recreate, which are the Giants. I think the depth of his relation to Elbaf is an interesting point, as it may not actually be his territory. Like Whole Cake for Big Mom. But simply a place he goes back to, as he was shocked to find out Dory and Broggy were alive, even though they returned 2 years ago. That is a great point. What is his relationship with the hierarchy of the island, with Loki? That is so factual, bro, because what is Shanks' relationship with the individual at the highest, like you said, like a Loki, or the other side, which I do believe that is going to be split with like a Loki and a Thor, right? Oh, man, if Vicky the Viking's name is Thor, how much of a role will Shanks play when the Strats arrive? These are things I've been wondering. Same. I also think it's going to be fascinating to see where Oda takes Kid here. If perhaps his defeat of Big Mom and how that ties to Elbaf is explored, or perhaps Luffy arrives and sees Kid half dead and gets mad at Shanks, a lot of potential. And you're absolutely right, Tommy de Filippo Santos. So dissecting that a little bit, I'm very interested on, I don't think Shanks will be here when we arrive. If Shanks is here when we arrive, we're having the Roger Whitebeard scene. The Roger Whitebeard, Shanks is here. It's like, yo, I smell a monster. Luffy, I'm talking about he jets. Pew! And him and Shanks clash. It's going to be peak fiction. It is going to be peakest of peak fiction. If that takes place on Elbaf, I'm automatically calling Elbaf top 1. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm automatically calling Elbaf the greatest arc of all time. Period. If that happens to start the arc, it's over. It's over. So, if Shanks is still here, that's going to happen. But because that does not look likely, considering that he's going to be leaving soon, I'm very curious on, like you said, what is going to take place with Kid. Because my assumption is Kid takes an L, but he takes like a moral W, where they perform better against Shanks and crew than they did last time. Because obviously he's going to come in here as we all love Kid to do, which is, you know, no holds barred. I'm giving him my all and I have so much respect for him that these individuals, he didn't even get an opportunity to get to to Shanks. It's, I believe in this chapter it was Ben Beckman. Y'all know me, Lucky Ruiwade's his arm. So it's like the fact that he wants to go back and get some more, I respect that so much. It's one of the reasons why I loved what Luffy did in Wano against Kaido. It's like that endless challenging of somebody who is clearly superior. So it's like, I can't wait to see what Kid does, and I can't wait to see what the response of that is going to be from Elbaf. Because like you said, after the Big Mom scenario, if they find out that Kid was the one who took out Big Mom, they're going to be treating him like royalty. And so where does that conflict start taking place? And is that how we start introducing the Loki versus Thor thing? Where half of the island is believing in someone like a Kid, and the other half of the island that's already like behind Shanks then becomes involved with Luffy, right? Like that's also a very interesting possibility too. Because I'm sure, for me, I don't think Luffy would be mad at Shanks just for defeating Kid. I think he'd actually laugh at Kid and be like, oh, you challenged Shanks? Like, of course you were going to lose, but not me. You know, man, you know what Luffy's going to say. Luffy's like, yeah, of course you were going to lose. I ain't losing, though. He's like, yo, I'm a great pirate now. I can't wait to see my boy. So I can't wait to see that interaction when that actually ends up happening. But you're right. Like, there's so much potential there for inner conflicts combining with external conflicts within Elbaf itself. And especially if they do start treating Kid like his royalty due to him defeating Big Mom. That's going to be... I can't wait to see how that clashes, because we know who Luffy is. They're going to be looking at this man. Dude, we know how they feel about Nika. Luffy goes Gear 5 once, and they're all on their knees. I mean, yo, Conqueror's Haki doesn't even need to be utilized. They're like, yo, it's over. It's him. It's him. It's him, all right? So it's like, yo, there's a lot of potential there for great stuff. A lot of potential there. Jesus Vermilion comes in with opening the chapter with a tag team of dreams was already fantastic. Dude, facts, bro. Then we shifted over to the captive Cypherpole members in Vegapunk, which could mean many things we've been talking about, maybe Katarina Devon or the AI computer tricking us from seeing the truth. The AI computer concept fascinates me. I love both ideas. I love like the potential Caribou possibility, of course, considering who he might be linked to. The Katarina Devon or Shiryu possibility, because that means that Blackbeard is truly trying to take over the world right now, which is ultimate villainy, and I love that about Blackbeard. So if Katarina Devon or any of these characters is actually here, I think that's a lot of fun. And like you said, do the shape-shifting aspect of Katarina Devon, I think that'd be great to explore here. Now, when we get to the AI computer, the idea of Punk Records potentially being the traitor is something that Recon brought up on the stream, and I love so much. Because thematically, I feel like Oda would find a masterful way of weaving that within the text, and I think it'd be great. But the moment I saw a tavern on the shores of an unknown island and a speech bubble saying "Take me with you," I already knew where it was going. Dude, I should have seen it, right? It's just when the thing that like hit me extremely hard when I turned that panel was the fact that I saw a kid with a Viking helmet. I was like, oh no. And I looked at the back and I was like, no, this is Elbaf. I was like, oh, this is Elbaf. Like the fact that this was potentially Elbaf sort of like destroyed my brain from thinking about the fact that this could potentially be Shanks. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, dude, I was just like, yo, we're in Elbaf. So like, we're in Elbaf. But that parallel was awesome. I love the parallel between Luffy and the Giant Boy. This discussion about what Elbaf potentially has to offer as an arc has me convinced it could actually become my all-time favorite. It has so much potential, Jesus, so much potential. Depending on what direction it goes in, let's pray for Vinland peace. Dude, Vinland peace, God of War peace, Kratos peace. It's going to be some peak fiction. I promise you. I promise you, yo. I promise you. Gold Slash comes in and says, I said it before, but with Dory and Brogy with Shanks, which is such an insane thing for me to say, bro. Like, we look back at that stretch of chapters, and we're just like, man, we're here, dude. Like, bro, we're here. Going from Little Garden. Man, like, yo, we're actually here, dude. Dory and Brogy, they're alive with Shanks. It really feels like the old gen versus new gens, as Luffy as the new giant pirates. That's a factual statement, right? Under his wings. I really feel like Shanks is going to end up the last fight for those Straw Hats. I hope so, Gold Slash. My whole thing has always been, I don't know if he'll be the last fight, because I do believe that after Shanks, there's still going to be the potential for Blackbeard, right, and Instant Messenger Sama. But I do want Shanks to be one of the final roadblocks, because I've always felt that once Luffy fights Shanks, that is the biggest indication, or once they have that meetup once again, that is going to be our biggest, like, One Piece is coming to an end moment up until that point. You know, the two biggest One Piece is coming to an end moments that are going to be coming in here soon are us arriving on Laugh Tale and Luffy fighting Shanks, or Luffy meeting Shanks again. Those two things, if they happen within the same arc, we know it's coming to an end, right? Like, we know for a fact it's coming to an end. So, but I'm right there with you. I feel like he has to be one of the final things or one of the final obstacles that Luffy has to overcome, because obviously he said he's going to surpass him one day, and he has to be able to showcase that, whether it be through an actual battle between Shanks' crew or in a Davy Back fight of sorts. It has to take place. Has to. We learned he has a bunch of allies now, so what the big battle this Rod Fleet is in is against Shanks. Dude, I would ascend. I would ascend, bro. Barto burning the flag could have been foreshadowing. You're right. You're right, because, and it was also talked about before, right, on how, what are they going to do with Bartolomeo, you know, burning their flag and whatnot. It's like, what are they going to do about it? So I look forward to seeing if Shanks and the boys actually end up doing something about it, forcing Luffy's hand. They start, that's going to be peak, man. That's going to be peak. I'm going to be screaming, dude. Absolutely. Like, yo, that's going to be such a legendary scene. Like, because we all know what it's going to lead to. If we see Shanks pull up, let's just say on Bart, or members of the Alliance, oh man, all of us are immediately going to be like, bing, 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 Luffy versus Shanks incoming. Like, so next one comes in from B Chords, who says, I think it'll be really interesting to find out how exactly Kid lost his arm, given the fact that Yasop, Lucky Roo, and Ben Beckman don't use swords for main combat. I'm telling you, Lucky Roo's mouth, bro, he ate that thing like he was wop wop. Ate that thing like it was a slice of meat. Like he was eating chicken fingers for dinner. He dipped Kid's arm in some barbecue sauce and this arm. That's all he did, bro. Y'all be playing with Lucky Roo, man. Listen, now that Lucky Roo's eating healthy, he might be the strongest in the verse. Bro, Lucky Roo eating an apple in this chapter showed me this crew is ready to fight anyone. Anyone. They could revive the Rocks. And a healthy Lucky Roo is boxing the Yonko. Healthy Lucky Roo? Oh my, bro. Y'all stop. Don't use any swords related combat. It almost sounds like his arm was something he had to give up rather than something that was taken from him. That's a very interesting idea. The fact that he had to give up an arm, kind of like how with the Yakuza, they would have to give up a pinky, right, in order to be forgiven. Like a kid had to take an arm in order to like save his crew, or a kid had to give up an arm to save his crew. I think if we found something like that out, it would actually give us a lot more respect for Kid. Like, yo, Kid actually like willfully gave his arm to Shanks' crew and said, don't kill any of my people. Imagine that. Oh man, but you're right. Like, either way, it's gonna be exciting stuff, B Chords. Absolutely. That's a really interesting idea. Yorozia Light comes in and says, I think we might get a named Shanks attack soon. Don't make me start screaming. Dude, let me tell you something. If, like my cousin said on stream, if divine departure happens, or if we get like an Ikaku sovereignty, oh man, if you start doing some giant attacks, bro, I'm gonna ascend. I'm going to ascend, bro. Then we might get a named Shanks attack soon, and if he ends up using the attack Roger used against Odin during the Wano flashback, I'm gonna lose it. Same here, bro. That might be the day. I'm really interested to see how this fight plays out, because I can see Law losing to Blackbeard, Kid losing to Shanks from a writing perspective wouldn't make sense to me, because I feel like he hasn't done enough. Slash, we don't know enough about him yet to warrant him getting killed or low diffed here. You know, talking about that for a second, before I read the rest of your comment. When it comes to a lot of these stories, one of the reasons why a series like Hajime no Ippo, for example, is so compelling still after 1,400 something chapters, is we are equally invested in almost all the boxers within the verse as we are the main character. And so when we go into a battle where two of those boxers are clashing, we have no idea who's going to win. And it makes it extremely compelling. And I think what Oda's creating with this battle royale scenario is situations where we as the readers have no idea what the outcome will be, because we're equally invested within the stories of a Law and a Blackbeard, of a Kid and a Shanks, for different reasons, right? But we don't know what the outcome will be. And I think that's what the exciting part about this battle royale is, that now it's going to be the actual battles that matter, battles with consequent, like, these things are going to have insane consequences for the final saga. Whoever ends up winning, losing, whatever the case may be. Because anything that takes place with characters that are this important is going to end up rumbling throughout the entire verse. And so it's like, man, that's why this whole battle royale idea to me is so exciting. It reminds me of Hajime no Ippo in that regard, where you're equally as invested in multiple different characters and the outcomes of their battles, which is something very important to have in a battle royale like this, right, with so many different characters. So what I'm expecting here from this fight is some kid backstory. I would love that, and for it to definitely be interrupted by something or someone. Yes. Hopefully before that, though, we get Kid and Shanks split in the sky. If they split the sky, because what I want from this fight for Kid is I want Kid's hockey to bloom in this fight. I want him to get pure on. If Kid is truly going to be Luffy's rival, this needs to be the fight where his Conqueror's coding awakens. And if this is where his Conqueror's coding awakens, he and Shanks need to split the skies. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. We saw that Law got a hockey boost post-Wano, willing himself out of Doc Hughes' double. Yes! So I think it's safe to assume we might see Kid show out with his Conqueror's hockey here. Absolutely. It might start off with him utilizing his awakening, right? Him trying his hardest to utilize his fruit, and Shanks is just like, negate. He's going to be like somebody with a bunch of trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Straight up, negates, hand trap, negate, hand trap. I mean, all negates. That's going to be Shanks, man. All negates. And so then we have to see him utilize something else, right? Yeah, we have to see him do like how Luffy did against Kaido, which is combine his Conqueror's hockey with his fruit, which is how he was able to defeat Kaido, right? And we might see Kid do that in order to attempt to fight Shanks, right? In order to stand a chance. Same way that the only way Luffy could stand a chance against Kaido is by unlocking Conqueror's coding. That was the only way he was damaging Kaido. So it's like, for Kid, it might very well be the same thing, where in order for him to do damage to Shanks, he has to learn Conqueror's coding. He has to. So maybe even pull out something similar to Luffy's gears. I think that's interesting. So like him having different forms and stuff. Though I don't think that'll work because obviously Luffy's things is a mythical Zoan, so he's able to like go through different forms. But I think I see what you're saying. It's like him potentially having like the Gundam form, the Rhino form, and stuff of that nature. I see what you're saying. Either way, Oda's absolutely cooking right now. The final saga is sensational. You could say that again. The weekly experience is speaking right now. Me every Thursday waking up to real shonen, real cinema, real literature. Say it again. Real shonen, real cinema, real literature, man. Thank you, yo. Thank you. Yo, y'all are killing with the comments this week. Juan Carlos comes in and says, finally seeing Shanks fight here would be a blessing. You're telling me. Bro, during Film Red in chapter 1055, where we got to see this man just use Discord hockey. And then in Film Red and what he did there, I was already screaming. I was like, yo, he's doing something. Shanks he's on the offensive. You know what I mean? But actually seeing him box, bro, I'm not ready for that. Personally, I'm not ready for that. Hopefully we can finally put the Mihawk versus Shanks debate to rest after this. I guarantee you it won't. This is why. Oda's smart. I guarantee you, we're going to see Shanks show out. And in the following chapter or chapters, we're going to see Mihawk do something just as impressive. It's just the way the world works. I guarantee you that's going to happen. Now, Shanks is going to do something absolutely filthy. And in the following chapters to follow, Mihawk is going to do something that's just as filthy. Imagine a scenario like this. Imagine Shanks goes in, does something we've never seen before with Conqueror's hockey. We're just like, oh my, what is happening? Similar to like the Discord hockey scene, where he just does something, whether it's like a negate something or a future sight to like the highest extent, or just a Conqueror's hockey blast that's taking his blade and like doing a divine departure and splitting the sea. Who knows? But here's my thing. Whatever he does, whatever Shanks does there, whether Mihawk pulls up to Fujitora, the 100 ships, or whatever, if Mihawk fires the Getsuga Tensho and it takes out like 25 ships at once, 25 battleships at once, turns around and cuts a meteor, you're telling me, bro, that the community's still not going to be having this Mihawk and Shanks debates? That's why I think, Juan Carlos, if anything, the final saga is going to intensify those debates. I do, because once we start seeing both of these dudes box, like Shanks boxing over here and Mihawk boxing over here, it's going to be inevitable. Everybody's going to be like, yo, Shanks versus Mihawk, even more so than they are now. It might even get more toxic. But I'm here for it. Because I do believe both Shanks and Mihawk are going to show out. I do. Especially since both Shanks and Mihawk need to show out before they both inevitably get defeated by our main characters. Mihawk needs to show up before he gets defeated by Zoro. And Shanks needs to show up before he gets defeated by Luffy. Or Blackbeard. So it's like they're going to need to show up, right? So when we start seeing them show out, the toxicity begins. That's when it really begins, you know? Because then we're going to have stuff to actually, like, say about them rather than just titles and stuff. So that's my thought on it, Juan Carlos. But I see what you're saying. Yunte comes in and says, a lot of people have been talking about the Final War arc and when it'll begin, but it looks like the Final War is already here. And so you're on the same wavelength as what was said at the very, very beginning with Praetoris. And it's like, yo, if that's the case, bro, we are truly in peak fiction, man. 100 ships on their way to Egghead along with Kizaru and Saturn. Kid versus Shanks at Elbaf. Blackbeard versus Law. Garp on his way to Island Full of Lead. Not gonna lie though, I'm a bit curious as to what Oda has in mind for Shanks versus Kid. It's paralleling Law and Blackbeard, and both of them are expected to lose. Law will probably be captured, but what about Kid? Maybe Shanks will just let him stay on Elbaf once he defeats him? It's hard to say, but I hope Oda surprises me. I think he has some really surprising stuff here. I do, because Oda's type of individual to always come up with like what I like to call the fourth idea, right? Like whatever the first, second, and third idea is, when he gets to the fourth idea, he's like, I'm gonna use that. Because as we've seen with a previous, I believe it was an interview, it was in the manga, because I was reading the recently released shonen, how to make a Shonen Jump manga or something. It was making whatever it was. It was something released last year in like October. Like somebody went to Weekly Shonen Jump and was trying to learn how to create a Shonen Jump manga from scratch, right? And so he started meeting and interviewing a lot of the creators and whatnot. And whenever we got to Oda, Oda talked about how whenever he meets with his editors, he tries to surprise them, and if he does not see a surprise like on their faces, he's like, give me the draft back. I'll go back to the drawing board. Like he bases it on their reactions. Like he'll look at all their reactions as they're reading the storyboard for the chapter, and if he doesn't like what he's seeing, he's like, all right, it's not good enough. Come back. We're pulling it back. And so what that has caused is some truly surprising stuff taking place within One Piece. And so that's exactly what's about to happen with this Kid and Shanks scenario. I guarantee you, not even his editors know what's about to happen with this Kid and Shanks scenario. Even though they know potentially what's going to happen at the end. They all know what's going to happen at the end of the series. They all know. But I guarantee you, if Oda is still trying to surprise people who even know what the ending of the series is, then what's about to happen? What is about to happen? You know? So it's like, definitely, man. Definitely. Super Alatreon comes in and says, only 3 points this time. As others have said, Lilith is looking sus now that the CP agents mentioned the Mecha Sea Beast. Absolutely. But I just want to add, if the Stella is in Steve's stone cuffs, that makes it less likely the traitor is Punk Records. I know people were saying it could be the AI or etc., but if it's all still tied to Vegapunk's fruit powers, and I doubt the traitor would weaken themselves in that way, that's a great point, Super Alatreon. That's actually a fantastic point. And in that regard, if those are truly sea cuffs, it can't be Katarina Devon either, unless the actual real Katarina Devon is the one that's with Jewel Urbani. Oh my god. If the real... Bro, so let's just say shapeshifting actually happened. That would mean that the real Vegapunk is down there and not with Jewel Urbani. Jewel Urbani is potentially with the traitor. Could that have been their goal the entire time? Oh, bro, I just got goosebumps, dude. Could you imagine if Katarina Devon enters Kuma's memories? Or someone of the like, the traitor? Okay. Let me continue. Small detail in the first panel when we cut to a bar at a small port. It seems there's a Giant's pirate ship in the background behind the text box. Yeah, no, I noticed it. I was just like, because I was trying to make out whose ships those were. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen those ships before. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at it again. As a matter of fact, I got the chapter pulled up here. I love this color spread. But look at it. Like, we see the bar, and it's just, I can't make out those ships. I know we're not supposed to, but we see like a bear, and then we see like this like shark monster thing. So I have no idea. Man. I have no idea. But I think it's very interesting. The fact that we cut to that first. Number 3, February 23rd is my birthday. Yo, happy belated birthday, dude. But I forgot to mention on stream because I've been so sick, so couldn't even think of celebrating. Dude, I hope you feel better, man. I have COVID and influenza. No, Super Alatreon. Focus, relax, and get better, dog. I have both? Yo, I'm so happy that you were able to write this, man. Like, Focus on your health first and foremost, dude. I really, really hope you feel better, dog. Goodness, those others mentioned it was their birthday and didn't make me mention mine. Dude. Super Alatreon. Ashen Samurai Jiro. Scar. What is it with y'all's birthday and Shanks? Goodness gracious, man. That's how you know the meds had me out of it. Yeah, no, I mean, if the meds had you out of it, it's like, you don't even remember who you are, right, when the meds get a hold of you. But I really hope you feel better, Super Alatreon, man. But experiencing the greatest selling manga of all time, and what's more, Shanks chapter. With fellow fans, there's no better gift I could ask for, man. So thank you again for all that you do. No, dude, thank you for taking the time to do this, even though you have COVID and influenza B, bro. That means a lot. The fact that you were able to sacrifice yourself to provide this to the community, man. I appreciate you so much. And once again, feel better, Super Alatreon, man. Stay safe, feel better, and I hope that the meds start doing their magic soon, brother. Truly, man. That's crazy, bro. That's flipping crazy. OMG comes in, but thank you. Thank all of you for taking the time to write these comments. OMG comes in and says, I can't imagine what Shanks is planning. Dude literally called everyone here. Like, yo, he's like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, bro. He's Sakurai. Shanks is like, yo, everyone is here. He's up to something. The craziest thing for me is Dory and Brogy being there. Those two fought for 100 years. So Shanks was the reason they stopped their fight? To me, OMG, I think it was a combination of the three. Combination of Luffy, Usopp, and Shanks. I do believe it was a combination of those three. I do. But it could have been a direct... But no, that doesn't make any sense because Shanks did not know they were alive until he came back. So if he didn't know they were alive when they came back, it couldn't have been because of him. So what made them come back? It had to have been Luffy and Usopp. And what happened in Little Garden? It had to have been. My goodness, but then this leads me to ask, what was Shanks doing talking to the ghost? That's also factual. You're absolutely right. Because if Shanks is the reason they stopped their fight, and then because we still don't know what the pirate he was talking about, bro. We still don't know. At this point, was he talking about himself? Was he talking about himself? I don't know, bro. This leads me to ask, what was Shanks doing talking to the ghost before this? We got all the pieces, but they don't seem to fit. Shanks, who are you really? Who is he, OMG? Who is he? Like, the man, Figurland Shanks, we assume is a celestial dragon based on the fact that he potentially came from God Valley. It's like, yo, who are you? Like, what are you doing in the verse? What are you planning? Why now? Why did you have that information on the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which is Nika Nika no Mi? It's like, yo, Shanks, man. There's so much intrigue behind this one character who seems to have the entire world just wrapped around his finger, man. It's like, is he a diplomat? Is he just planning all this out? Is he Aizen? I don't know, man. But that's what makes him so interesting, OMG. Truly. God, Namer comes in. This kid got the utmost respect for me, man. 100%. Bro just came back from fighting Big Mom and still wants more smoke. God bless him for that too, man. He already lost his arm to Shanks' crew and still wants... Bro, he didn't even lose it to Shanks. He lost it to someone else in the crew. If that doesn't deserve the biggest respect, then I don't know what does. I'll be praying for him, though. No disrespect, but I definitely think he's going to need this for 100%. I agree with you right there. Final Saga Oda's going crazy, though. How is he showing Shanks this much? I'm losing my mind. Dude, we've seen Shanks in the manga 4 times in the last year. We hadn't even seen Shanks 4 times post-time skip before this stretch. And with Film Red, I think this is the most I've ever seen Shanks this is the most I've ever seen Shanks in one group. Like in one stretch. This is the most we've ever seen this character. That's how you know. Shanks going from a part-timer to a full-timer, we're in the end phase. We are in the end game now, ladies and gentlemen. Goodness gracious. Subra comes in and says, some little talks, not some major theories. Firstly, Obaf Kid is inspired from Vicky the Viking. Absolutely. Boy, the show that inspired Oda to write One Piece, which is like... like I said on stream, I know when Oda started the series, he had to have had certain arcs in mind, or at the very least, certain islands. Deep within his subconscious, even if he didn't know, of course, what the arc was going to be about and stuff. I know he probably in the back of his mind, he was like, at the very least, desert island in the sky, An island under the sea, an island based on Japan, and an island in Vicky the Viking Island. Guarantee you he's had, at the very least, the concept for Elbaf we know he's had for a long time, for a very long time, since bare minimum 1999, which is when Little Garden was being released. Bare minimum, he has had the Elbaf concept since 1999, and to me, I think him creating Shanks, Luffy, Vicky the Viking inspiration, I think Elbaf has been the one arc that he's had in his mind from the very beginning, and how fitting that this might potentially be the final adventure they go on before Laugh Tale. How fitting, with it being the thing that actually inspired One Piece to begin with, in the tale of Vicky the Viking and what inspired him to write One Piece in the first place, which also inspired Shanks as a character, right? So it's like, how fitting, man. Second, the Captain Trio fight 3 different enemies. However, I think is very interesting. Blackbeard versus Law is an anchor fight. Kid versus Shanks is going to be a hockey fight. As Shanks said, he won't fight in Elbaf, so it'll be in the sea, dude. That's gonna be so awesome, which will lead to, I think, Kid's ACOG awakening. Absolutely. Hopefully a sky slit. I would ascend. Third, Luffy versus Saturn. If I see in consecutive chapters Shanks do a named attack and a member of the Gorosei doing a named attack, I don't know what I'm gonna do, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. A Gorosei member doing a named attack against Luffy? Or just an attack in general, a Gorosei member going ham? And then in the chapter before, chapter after, Shanks going ham? Oh, man. Dude, I'm gonna lose it. And if Dragon starts pulling up, Blackbeard... Oh, bro, the final saga is crazy, man. The final saga is flipping crazy. I think we have full-on Devil Fruit plus hockey fight. So I think Saturn's got a fruit. I think so. I think the Gorosei, based on how they've given some of the craziest fruits in the verse to their admirals, right? Safe to assume they've got to be rocking some crazy stuff, man. Knowing how much they value fruits, they have to be rocking some crazy stuff. They've got to be. Third, besides the Elbaf tree, the same shaded 3 lines appear, which we saw in Big Mom's flashback. The time we saw them from one side, this time we see them from Elbaf, kind of. So what those lines might indicate? Do you think those are the giant trees or something related to Elbaf? I think it's definitely both. I think like we talked about on the stream, it could be the giant beanstalk, similar to the one that was in Skypiea. It could be, because if we're going to be going into fables and stuff of that nature, which directly inspired Elbaf, it could be beanstalks. It could be the Atom Tree, right? It could be trees that are just gigantified because they're on Elbaf. The origin of potentially life on the planet could have started here. Who knows, right? But obviously, Elbaf's going to have a lot of Void Century importance, so whatever we see here, these massive 3 lines that Oda keeps intentionally showing, that would imply that whatever we see here on Elbaf is, like, that thing, whenever we do see it, is going to either be a major part of the island, which therefore is going to be a major part into the history of the island. And if that's a major part of the history of the island, it's going to be a part of the Void Century. So whatever we see there could potentially be connected to Nika, potentially making it as big as it did, or the giants of that time, right? Which we know they were the most powerful race on the planet, as they were the warrior race, the race of the giants. So whatever is there, whatever that thing is going to have Void Century importance. I believe it 100%. And so when we see it, even when we see it and find out what it is, we still might not find out its importance until we dig into the history of Elbaf and actually see the backstory, right? Which is going to be so insane. So insane, man. Fourth, the traitor at this point might be someone new, or Lilith, as the weaponized sea beasts were first controlled by her. Yes, another thing I realized, Shanks said he lost track of time. As we know, he was going to meet Bartolomeo, but stopped to meet Dory and Bragi, so he still hasn't met with the Grand Fleet, right? That's a factual statement. Do you think any chance the Grand Fleet coming to Egghead to fight against the 100 Marine ships? I do. I do believe that is a major possibility, especially if what Praetorius was saying is correct, and this is when everything starts converging. This is when the final saga truly becomes the final saga. Thanks for always giving us great content. Hopefully your legs get totally healed. Thank you, yo. Thank you so much for that. This next week will be hard. No OP content at all, right? Anime or manga. Can we see some collabs then? We're cooking something. We're cooking something. Me and a couple people, we're cooking something. I'm not sure if it'll be as soon as next week. I'm sure hope it's as soon as next week, at least one of them. But I have some things cooking in the kitchen, Subra. Some collabs. I can promise you that. Thank you very much for that, Subra. Let me see. I have time, I think, for 1 or 2 more. Let me see. Recon says all 3 of our captains have had a rest hard route. Seriously. my opinion, this fight is going to be exactly like Law versus Blackbeard. Kid will get a good hit on Shanks when we will see him use his awakening and everyone else. Imagine a scene where Kid repels everyone else away, leaving just him and Shanks, dude. A 1v1 under the sun. Shanks and Kid, dude, I would scream. I would scream, man. So, I'm right there with you. If we actually get an opportunity to see portions of this fight, then Kid would have to get a hit in on Shanks in some way, shape, or form. He's going to start getting some licks. But to me, like I said earlier, I don't think he starts damaging Shanks until he awakens his Conqueror's coding. I do believe it's going to be very similar to the Luffy and Kaido fight, where he's going to need to blossom and awaken Conqueror's coding in order to damage Shanks. And when he damages Shanks, us as the viewers would be like, he has Conqueror's coding. He's got it. He's got it now. And especially if after he hits him, Shanks comes in to hit him and they both clash, split the skies, that would give us our biggest indication he's got Conqueror's coding now. Kid is on that level now. So, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with Recon. That is an exciting scenario. Like you said, all three of our big three captains are chaos. And that's an understatement. Blackbeard, Shanks, and St. J. Garcia Saturn? Come on, man. Come on, man. Insane stuff. All right, let me read. Let me see, do I have time? Yo, my boy Dak. Dak Sock says, you think there is a legit chance for Kid to join Shanks? At this point in the story, I don't think so. Maybe Law joins Blackbeard so they all stay relevant in some way. I think, you know something, Dak? Well, let me read your entire comment to see your explanation for this. And then I'll give you my insight. Maybe Shanks beats Kid so bad and overwhelming it's on another level from Kaido. And Kid breaks and forms some kind of deal with Shanks. Maybe like Shanks takes his rubbings, but teaches him a new technique and has Kid stay at Elbaf to fight Luffy at some kind of final test. Like some 5D chess thing to help Luffy get a little bit stronger. Maybe Shanks teaches Kid how to cancel obstruction hockey since Kid does have Conquerors. So Luffy learns that while fighting Kid at Elbaf. If Kid beats Luffy, he can go free again. If Luffy beats Kid, then Kid will just be the ultimate failure. So, though that idea sounds absolutely insane and very Shanks-like in regards to him planning like 10 steps ahead, right? I don't think if Luffy is to, or if Kid is to continue to serve as a direct parallel to Luffy in regards to their how his will cannot be shattered, right? I don't think even him almost dying to Shanks would force him to go under him. And in that same regard, with Law, I don't think he would join Blackbeard. Even if the rest of his crewmates... See, but that's whenever we start bringing some pirate antics. I think the only way I could see both of them joining Shanks and Kid is if Shanks and Blackbeard directly tell their captain, tell both Law and Kid, if y'all don't join me, we kill the rest of your crew members right here, right now. Right? That would be like ultimate piratey stuff, which I can definitely see. But something to me, even if they both take a massive L here, both Law and Kid, we are still early enough into the final saga to where Shanks or Law and Kid can take an L and still come back in the final war much stronger than they were when they took this L to play some sort of major role within the final saga. I do believe that is very, very likely as well. Especially because I do believe that Law and Shanks are going to show out in both of their fights in their own respective ways. We're already seeing how Law is showing out against Blackbeard. But if Kid, at the very least, awakens Conqueror's coding and is able to deal damage to who so many of us believe to be one of the very, very highest top tiers in the verse, then by the Flagnard, next time we see Kid, especially if he stays on Elbaf and he goes up against Luffy, he's going to be a different animal. He's moving different, right? And so for me, though I do believe one part of your thing absolutely is Shanks potentially using this Kid thing to test Luffy. I could most certainly see that, where he's thinking ahead. Okay, I fight Kid here. I beat him. He learns something within this fight. It blossoms. He stays here on Elbaf. He fights Luffy. Gets Luffy a little better for the time whenever we start boxing. We could go in. I could see Shanks doing something like that 100%. But Kid and Law joining Blackbeard and Shanks, like I said, the only way I can see that is if they directly, knowing how much Kid and Law care for their crew members, That would be the only way I could see that. Is like you join me as like a prisoner or whatever, and the rest of your crew, it remains free, right? Like they won't have to join us, and we won't kill them. We won't kill them. As captains, I can see them taking that decision and making that decision. But besides that, I don't think their will be broken. I think after Wano, there's just, and I don't think it'll be possible for their will to be broken, you know. But thank you, Dak, my good brother. I appreciate you. And then one final comment here. We've got Xanarkand, Final Fantasy X, who says, so we have Law versus Blackbeard and Kid versus Shanks. The results of the fights will reveal them clashing, aka Blackbeard versus Shanks. By the way, is your camera related to Green Bull? I know that I shouldn't be messing with Shanks. Yes, it is. My camera's name is actually Green Bull. That's a factual statement, you know? And that's why Discord never works on my computer. It's because of Shanks. And because my camera's named Green Bull. So something within my house is not going to work because of the Discord hockey. You know, it's just naturally the way it's going to be. So, and then the last comment here, I apologize I wasn't able to get through all of them. There was just so many good comments. But Speak123, my good brother, says, I reckon the Giants will stop the red-haired pirates from taking Kid out. Once they realize Kid played a hand in taking down Big Mom, we probably won't see it go down, but I have a feeling that Loki may step in or someone of authority. I love that so much, Speak. Or something Big Mom related is how that fight gets interrupted. Whether it be Loki or someone from Elbaf coming out and being like, stop the fight. That guy is royalty. That guy is someone very special to Elbaf. And Kid, or Big Mom herself shows up, causing a clash between Shanks and Big Mom as Kid is able to get into safety within the island, and potentially that might even cause this scenario where Kid meets up with Loki as well, because I do believe that Kid Loki thing's gonna happen. I definitely do, especially since I do believe if Vicky the Viking Kid really is Thor, or potentially going to be like the one to challenge Loki in the way that like the Thor Loki story goes in mythology, and that's where Luffy's gonna come in to be on Thor's side, then listen, some stuff is cooking here. It's being cooked here, man, and I couldn't be more excited. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been it for today's Afterthoughts. This has been so much fun, bro. So much to discuss. But I do have to get going. So I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. Shanks, Chapter, Luffy, Lucci, Vicky the Viking. We just love to see it, man. We love to see it. I will see y'all. Take care. The One Piece is real, man.